from the New Arts and Studio. From, how many times have I done this? From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. New Arts and Media. Yeah, that's it. I'm in the New Arts and Media Studios. I've done this 400 and what's the episode 445, I think. Okay, hey, how are you? It's Ben, as always. Man, I used to do this show daily, and I got to tell you, that was a lot easier. Because it just, talk about the day's news and give some commentary, and it's all well and good. But doing the show weekly, a whole week's worth of things to think about and talk about, and it's just a little overwhelming. Okay, so anyway, yeah, it's been, again, quite a week. It started with, since last we spoke, we've had Easter, which I love because, really for one and only one reason, and that is the great Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson, Yul Brynner, Ann Baxter, Nina Foch. Oh, it's fantastic. I love that movie so much. If I have to rank my movies, it's right in there in the top 5, maybe the top 2, I don't know. Because it's not only a great movie, it's also one of the worst movies in the sense that it's just so over the top and it's so dumb in many ways. It's in this so bad it's good category. And it's also legitimately good. Like, both things are happening in the same movie. Charlton Heston is chewing up the scenery, as they say, overacting and doing his... Charlton Heston is just such a frickin' weirdo. But then there's Yul Brynner and many others just doing it, just getting it done. Anyway, I love that movie. And I do it the old-fashioned way. I watch it on network television. I know I'm as old as the hills, but it's so much more fun this way. You just devote the whole evening to it. You just deal with the commercials. You go make a snack or you go to the bathroom. That's what us old folks used to do, when we watched regular television. You do things during the commercials. Or now, you scroll in your phone a little bit. Nobody watches the commercials. Anyway, point being, that's what's so fun about it. I've never watched the movie, I've never streamed it. I don't think I've ever rented it back in the old days. I didn't have a VCR of it, a VHS. God, see there again. Man, I'm getting old. VCR was the machine. VHS was the tape. This is a lesson. This is an old guy lesson to young kids today. I did see it in the movie theaters. Once way back in the day, I saw it at the Castro in San Francisco, right in the heart of the Castro district, which of course is the sort of epicenter of gay culture in the world, right? Yeah, I saw it there with just, 1,000. It's a big, the Oriental, the Castro is like the Oriental here in Milwaukee, large, elaborate, one of these old kind of theater palaces, right? And so it's maybe, I don't know, there's like 1,000 people in there, all of them pretty much all of them gay men, and just howling and hooting at this movie. Of course, Yul Brynner is looking just real good in his, Heston is, for as weird as he is, he's got pretty good guns on him. So, there's a name for it. I forget now what it is. The Toga movies, or I don't know, these old period pieces, historical movies, history movies, where the men, especially the gladiators, are showing a lot of skin. Gladiator movies, maybe that's what they call them. The joke in Airplane is about that. The little kid is visiting the cockpit, and Peter Graves, as the pilot, says, "Do you like gladiator movies?" So anyway, I'm watching the Ten Commandments on the big screen in 1980 something with 1,000 gay guys at the Castro Theater. And it was the most fun I ever had watching a movie. It was so great. I remember to this day that the very best line, it was just hilarious. It's the first time he goes up to the mountain and he talks to God, I guess, or something like that. And he comes down, and for some reason, his hair is bigger and whiter. He's now got these white streaks in it, and it's real big. And he's got this faraway look in his eyes. He's like, I just saw God. And he walks down, and his wife, she's waiting down with Joshua, who's come to visit. And so here he comes. And the first thing she says to him, she says, Moses, your hair. And the entire theater just erupted. They loved that line. So, yeah, that was part of my weekend, watching the Ten Commandments. Other than that, Easter doesn't mean too much since I've been an atheist since I was about 12. So Easter doesn't mean too much. You know, you get older, you don't care about the Easter bunny and the candy and all that. Although when I had kids, when I say my kids were young, I should put it that way, there was one memorable Easter we got on the home movies. We took some home movies of the kids, and my son was just old enough to almost be counting. So he's counting jelly beans. He's going 1, 2, 4, 7, 13, and it's very funny. And his sister, 4 years older, is trying to correct him, but it's one of those great, sweet kind of family videos. You know, it's really nice. And then the next day, I got the camera out again, and then my daughter, poor girl, she's looking for her Easter basket. The boy finds his within a matter of a couple of minutes. It takes her like a half an hour. And I'm trying to give her clues, but she's just not taking them. I can't tell her that I know where it is. But I'm trying so hard to give her clues. And she's just not picking up on the clues. So I've got like a half-hour video of her looking for her basket and getting more and more disturbed. And at the end, practically in tears, saying, the Easter Bunny forgot me. So Easter means nothing to me except for that really great memory and those two great videos. And Moses. Great movie. And to watch it the old-fashioned way. Take a whole evening and watch it with the commercials. And now upcoming is the solar eclipse. Give me some advice. Let me know. You think I should go down to Carbondale, Illinois? I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we're going to have 80% ecliptical here. So, yeah, we're not going to have the total solar eclipse here. We're going to have about 80%. That's still pretty impressive. But I'm thinking of driving down to Carbondale, Illinois. It's only about a 6-hour drive. There are places along the direct path that might be a little bit closer, but I'd have to drive through Chicago, which I avoid. I will not ever again drive through Chicago. It'll take more than a solar eclipse to get me to do that. So even though it might take just a little bit long. Oh, why? Because the next time I drive through Chicago is the day I will surely die. It is the traffic through Chicago is just frightening to me. So I avoid Chicago roads. Should I go down? You want to meet me down in Carbondale? I figure just drive down and take a little lawn chair and check it out. I thought it might be kind of fun to do on a whim. The reason I'm hesitating, I'm really afraid, and this is me, assuming the worst always. What if it's really cloudy in Carbondale? I've been watching the weather, and it's kind of hit or miss. It looks like it's going to be kind of cloudy. So what if it's really cloudy in Carbondale, or like really cloudy, rainy even, and then the weather here is great and clear? So I drive down there, and I miss it all, and I could have just stayed here and seen a nice, decent 80%er. I don't know. You can't live like this, kids. You can't make decisions based on fear. Let me tell you, from someone with experience, you can't make decisions based on fear. Don't do it. And that's what I'm very guilty of right here. I'm afraid that would be the case. So anyway, I don't believe in any of the conspiracy theories, which there are plenty. Oh yeah, have you heard any of these? It's kind of like Y2K, if you're old enough to remember that, or if you've read any history on that. All sorts of theories about how the world was coming to an end. This apparently the entire Earth is going to go dark for 5 days, according to some theories. There's absolutely no reason in the world to think that's the case. That would be kind of weird if it happened. There are others that are almost real. There was a story, I guess, from the last time, 2017. There was one little town that I guess a lot of people, like I'm thinking of driving down to Carbondale, a lot of people went to this little town. I'm kind of looking forward in my news notes here, and I don't see it. Well, the gist of the story is that people had trouble with their cell phones because this little town didn't have very good coverage, and their cell phones kind of went dark. And yeah, that could happen. Go to a small town. Suddenly there's thousands of people there. They used to only having, the regular population of 48. So yeah, that could happen. But the story got picked up, and then through the game of telephone, of course, and people who love conspiracy theories. Oh, all cell service, all Wi-Fi service. Everything's going dark. The whole internet's going to shut down because of the solar eclipse. And then the one that really got a lot of attention. I guess there's several U.S. cities named Nineveh, taken from the biblical story. There's a town in the Bible called Nineveh, and I guess it's described as kind of an evil place. Who knew there were so many Ninevehs in the United States? Apparently there's like 8 or 9 of them. Well, the conspiracy theory here goes that the direct path, the 100% path of the eclipse, is going over like 9 different cities called Nineveh in the United States, which is just factually not true. If you check the map, there are 2 towns called Nineveh that are in the direct path, and the rest of them some of them aren't even that close at all. So that's just another one of those little conspiracy theories. But it was odd to me to learn that there are so many, Ninevehs. Who knew? I had no idea there were so many Ninevehs. All right, so enjoy the solar eclipse. If you do travel for it, another one of this, it's not really conspiracy theory, but it has happened, again, in the past. People who travel for the eclipse don't really plan very well, and they wind up sort of getting stuck because a whole lot of other people made the same plan, and the town, the infrastructure, the roads kind of can't handle it. So no, there's not going to be any big apocalypse here, but be ready for that. And the more I think about this, the more I think I'm just going to stay right where I am. I can watch it right out my window. Although I got to how do you get the glasses? Maybe it's too late. I should have ordered them by mail. Hey, we also had an election here. The primaries continue, of course, and we're watching those kind of. Here in Wisconsin, we had our primary, and as I told you last time, if you're a fellow Wisconsinite, then what you want to do, if you want to make that protest vote against Joe Biden, then you could. There was a bubble on our ballot for undetermined or unrestricted, I forget what it's called. Oh, uninstructed. That's it, uninstructed. So the totals, I was very interested with 96% of the precincts reporting. This is what's interesting to me. Joe Biden got 89% of the Democrats voting. Donald Trump got 79% of the Republicans voting. So it's a 10-point difference. 11% of Democrats said someone other than Joe. Most of those, the uninstructed category. I'm guessing most, if not all of those, will come back in November and vote for Joe. So, interesting numbers. 21%, pretty significant number, of Republicans said no thanks to the Orange Menace. Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, all on the ballot. They got, 13, 16, 18, 19% of the vote. Now, of those, how many are going to go back and vote for the Orange Menace in November? That's the question. And I find this very interesting because it's all within the margin of victory. Joe Biden only won Wisconsin by, 20,000 votes, something like that? So now you toss in Jill Stein to the equation, and these never Trumpers and the Biden protesters because of Gaza. Man, there's all sorts of variables in the mix here. I totaled it up as well. Let's see. Now, it's kind of a good news, bad news thing. So the good news is Biden outperformed the Orange Menace by 10% when you look at the percentage of their base voting. But in overall votes, here's the bad news. The Orange Menace got, let's see, about 21,000 more votes than Joe Biden. So I'm reading too much into this already, I'm sure, but that's disappointing. I really wish Wisconsin had something on the ballot here in November, like Florida. Did you hear about Florida? They have got, talk about good news, bad news. Also from Florida, good news, bad news. Let's start with the bad news. The Florida Supreme Court upheld the 6-week abortion ban. So that's going to go into effect, and that's horrible. That's just an absolute crime against women, and unacceptable and unconscionable, and just, grab your thesaurus and find every possible way to say outrageous, and just bad. It's bad. It's bad. So that's the bad news. Now, the good news from Florida. That same court on the same day allowed for a ballot initiative, a referendum, on the Florida ballot statewide in November 2024 that gives voters a chance to strike down this ban. Voters, it'll be up to voters to approve an amendment protecting abortion rights. This is a very big deal. We've seen it happen already. Where did this happen? I know it happened in Kansas. It happened in a couple of other very deep red states. It happened here in Wisconsin with the election of Justice Protasewicz to the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court. Every time so far, no matter where, red states, blue states, purple states, if abortion is on the ballot, it wins. It has wide support across the political spectrum, from Republicans to Democrats, independents. People want those rights. So that's a big deal. And I think it was the very same day as the Florida State Supreme Court was handing down these decisions, also legalized weed. That's going to be on the ballot in November. And I know it's almost seems like a weird fever dream that the Democrats could win in Florida. Certainly Joe Biden couldn't win in Florida, could he? I mean, this is going to bring people out. Talk about getting your base to the polls. The Florida Supreme Court just took care of that. The Democratic base will be getting to the polls in Florida in great numbers because they've got an amendment to protect abortion rights, and they've got a vote to legalize recreational marijuana. Man, who ever thought we'd have reason to be thankful? And we do. Send thank you notes in care of the Florida Supreme Court. Jesus, Mother, Mary, and Joseph. So there you go. Yeah, I wish we had something on our ballot. I've been saying that every cycle. Say, guys, come on. I write letters and and I do podcasts about it. And we got to get legal pot and abortion. We got to get these things on our ballot. They're surefire winners every time. All right, what else is going on since we spoke? God, I hate talking about Gaza because it just pisses me off. I just get upset. Talk about going to your thesaurus. It's become impossible to talk about this. It just gets worse and worse and worse all the time. Now 7 aid workers were killed, in addition to just the like clockwork regular massacres of Palestinians. Is it up over 32,000, I think now? And we throw out that number. It continues to grow all the time, right? But there are estimates that it could be double that. It's so hard to know. But at least 32,000 killed, 2/3 of which are women and children. Another, whatever the number of casualties is, the number of deaths, murders, now double or triple that for the injuries, people maimed and loss of limb, and then to toss in the starvation, which has set in. I mean, this is not some little opinion from your friendly neighborhood podcast host. It's the United Nations saying now to Netanyahu and Israel, look, man, we have ruled against you in the court, in the international court, that the case that South Africa brought. The initial ruling on that was, no, we're not going to find you guilty of genocide, but we do see clear evidence that you're right on the brink, and if you don't do something about it real quick, we're going to come down on you. And they have. They said, look, this is a genocide. Cut it out. Show us. Now, of course, the problem, the International Court of Justice has no way of enforcing their rulings. The only force they have is the goodwill of the rest of the nations on earth, which they mostly have. Even the United States, their position is getting a little stronger from Tony Blinken and the State Department and from Joe Biden himself, just insisting that Israel allow food, allow aid, that they are more discriminate with their bombing and their war making, that they avoid civilian casualties. The language is getting much, much tougher. But as we talked about, I think that's mostly for domestic reasons. The folks, myself and my neighbors here in Wisconsin who voted uninstructed, joining other people in Michigan and had a pretty big turnout for the non-Joe Democratic primary votes. So whether it's for domestic politics or not, the fact remains, world opinion is really pretty much against Israel now. They stand alone. Now, of course, it's only words from Joe Biden. It was revealed just this week, another $2 billion worth of bombs that'll just knock out whole cities were approved for shipment to Israel by Joe Biden, when at the very same time he's trying to talk tough and insist on peace. Yeah, I saw this and I was a little confused because I know, there's this big hang-up in Congress, but apparently Joe has been able to work around Congress and get shipments to Israel of armaments. And this, I guess, something was already approved or something that he was able to back channel. But yeah, we're talking major warplanes, major bombs, right, that can level whole neighborhoods, whole cities. So Joe's talking out of both sides of his mouth at the same time. Not good, not good, not good. And yet, here we are, stuck. We have to vote for him because talk about a week's worth of news. There's always like a half a dozen horrible things that the Orange Menace has done. He continues to use the word bloodbath in several ways. He doubles and triples down calling immigrants animals and vermin, and we could spend the entire half hour just listing all of the atrocities that come out of his mouth. And the one I suppose we should talk about a little bit, you may not have seen the actual footage or the picture. There's this picture going around. It's like a giant decal that you can put on your pickup truck. And it's a picture, like an AI picture of Joe Biden laying in the back of a pickup truck hog-tied. He's got ropes around his chest and his legs, his ankles and his wrists tied behind his back and his ankles tied up. He's hog-tied. And he's laying down in the back of a pickup truck. And then you put this big decal, it covers the entire door. What do you call it? What do you call the door of a pickup? The back door, the tailgate. Yeah, it covers the whole thing. So it gives the optical illusion that he's in that truck. So you're driving behind. And I'm looking at a picture of it right now. And from the right angle, it really literally does look like that. So anyway, that's horrible, right? That's bad. And the Orange Menace shared a video that shows this. And of course, along with that giant decal, of course, the truck is festooned with all sorts of Trump flags and other bumper stickers and decals and things. So the Orange Menace shares that on his social media, along with a lot of other incendiary language about the Democrats, about immigrants, about Joe Biden, about one of the judges in one of his trials and the judge's daughter, and anybody else would literally be in jail. Anybody else would be in jail by now. Anybody. I mean, anybody except for him would already be in jail right now for the kind of over-the-top, unacceptable language he's using on his weird little social media platform, Truth, which, of course, gets picked up by everybody else. The platform itself only has a couple million followers, and so he couldn't do it just with that. Everybody picks it up. Oh, speaking of which, well, here, let me finish one thought before I finish with that. Yeah, anybody else would be in jail. Remember when Kathy Griffin, she held up a few years ago this mock head of Donald Trump, like the mock severed head. I was very critical of her. I thought that was way over the top, and I thought she deserved to get quote unquote canceled. I thought that was really bad, and she was treated very harshly for that. I thought she deserved it, actually. Most lefties thought it was funny and fine. I didn't. But yeah, that's pretty much what he's doing on a daily basis. He's inciting his people to violence, and he knows he is. Let's just, I'm looking at the clock here. I see we're out of time. Let me just finish with another story from the week. I don't know how to laugh or cry again. You gotta learn to do both, I guess, these days. Speaking of Truth Social, the Orange Menace's weird little, platform, he went public with the company. So he sold, so it's now on the stock exchange, and it opened at this ridiculous value. And on paper, he just made like $8 billion or something. It was insane. It was crazy. And so ironic that he did this to raise money, because he needs money because he's been convicted in civil court for overvaluing his properties. And so he tries to get the money by overvaluing one of his properties. I mean, you can't, oh, Lord, help me. It's just such a weird story, because then, and everybody knew the minute it happened. I'm no financial expert, but even I could tell. And then the experts kind of, confirmed it for me. Oh, yeah, this is just a big blow up on day one. It's not going to last. It's just his followers who think it's cool, or it's rich people who want to be buddy-buddy with him, or, And it just plummeted within days, and it'll continue to do so. It'll fall down to its actual value, which is nothing. This company loses money every year. They release some financial data that you have to when you open yourself up on the exchange. You got to give them some numbers. And the thing lost like $58 million last year. So, oh God. All right. Well, there it is. There's our day together. It's been quite a week, and it'll be a week. All right. I love you. I'll see you down in Carbondale, okay? All right. Take care. This episode of The Log is available right now wherever you find your podcasts, or go to the website, charlespurcell.com, for the full archive and all the other series in the podcast family. Follow me on Facebook. Write to me at charlespurcell@gmail. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell.